Welcome to the Hank Cisco Show. Don't touch that remote. We got a great show here. We're going to talk about, I got somebody, one of my guests, my guest today is a grassroots. He's in the grassroots and he has more information about what's going on in the community than a lot of people that are elected officers. So I want you to meet and he'll tell you who he is. Ken, tell him who you are.
Hank, thanks so much for the invitation. You've asked me to be here so many times.
Yes.
And finally, here it is, just a couple of days after the primary election, that we could get to that.
Yeah.
Together.
So,
and I'm proud to be here.
Tell me how you got involved in this now. This election, that last election.
Well, I came to East Norton.
What's your job on that? You're a judge.
I'm an elected election judge in Montgomery County, so I have responsibility for supervising and certifying the election at one precinct, which is where I reside. It's East Norton 1-4, which is right up at the old Presbyterian Church at Trooper Road and Germantown Pike.
Oh, okay.
Which I believe is, if not the oldest, it's one of the oldest churches in Montgomery County. We'll have to look that up with our friends at the Historical Society.
Well,
so a number of years ago, someone resigned that position, and I was appointed. And then 2 years later, I had to run for full term.
You're the judge of elections. What is the main focus? What's the main focus?
Well, the main focus is to make sure that the machines are set up and operating,
right, and
that all of the public information is made available to the voters as they arrive at the polls. And I have I have several people that work with me. There's a majority inspector and a minority inspector.
If somebody has a complaint?
Well, not so much that. Of course, if there is an issue.
In other words, you see that everybody that's appointed the job, to make sure they register, to make sure. And how about some of the people that stand outside? They can't come inside, right?
That's true. We have to establish a perimeter that's at least 10 feet away from the room in which the voting occurs. And as people come in, then you know, all of our voters know. Then you sign in the book, and then you get your ticket, and you go over, and the machine operator pushes the button to open the ballot for you, and so forth. The judge also, with his or her team, certifies the results. There's a lot of paperwork that goes on during the day. I probably wind up signing my name 50 or 60 times by the end of the day. But the most important issue is that I'm there to assure that anybody that has the right to vote has the opportunity to vote, and we complete that process for them.
Well, let me ask you a question. My wife went 5 years of Alzheimer's, you know, and when she first started, I didn't feel she couldn't remember this or remember that, and I should take her to the election, and I go in there and vote with her. Is that legal?
That is permissible.
Well, one guy says you can't go in there with her. Why not?
Well, there are conditions under which we can do that. It's allowable, and if a judge wants to do so at their discretion, then he or she may actually write a form that says that this voter was assisted and by whom. And that way, if anybody ever want to challenge that voter's legitimacy, then there's a document there that says that the presiding judge authorized that companionship for the vote.
Yeah. Now, absentee ballot. Tell me something about that.
Absentee ballots are well, the judge's role in the process starts on the Saturday preceding the election. We go to the Voter Services warehouse on Washington Street in Norristown, and we pick up the election box. And in there are the books and the manuals, the instructions, all the forms, and there's one bag in there that has all of the absentee ballots that were submitted for that precinct.
That's the last, they count that last, right?
We count that at the very last, after the polls are closed. We open the envelopes, we separate the affidavit on the exterior envelope from the ballot itself so that the voter can never be identified again in the process. And then on 4 copies of that report, we note their votes. And I can tell you that when the polls close at 8 o'clock, we've already been at work for about 13 hours. And that's the last thing we're doing. So when I open the envelope, or the bag rather, and I tell my team, I says, oh, we're going to be here very late tonight. Then they know there's 50 or 60 absentee ballots.
How about soldiers? How about soldiers? they're overseas. And can they vote? I guess if somebody sends them an absentee ballot.
Sure, they can. If they request an absentee ballot.
But a lot of people don't realize that. But if they're in the service, somebody send them an absentee ballot, right?
Sure, college students, same thing. College students, the same thing.
All right. You're serving. You have a little job here. Have to do with Scholarship Foundation. What's that all about?
We'll talk about that in a minute, but let's go back to the
go back to the election.
Go back to the election for a minute, because I'm going to make an observation that's really important for this audience.
Go ahead.
The voter turnout across Montgomery County
low
for this election was only 20%.
Oh my God!
And in East and West Norton townships, it hovered a little above 18%.
How about Norristown?
Down in Norristown, it was shy of 11%. Now, for this election cycle, that's typically low, but these were really low. And I've got to give a little credit to Mother Nature, because that storm that blew through here at about 4 o'clock, dampened people's appetite for
the storm has a lot to do with it.
Getting out to vote. But I think it is noteworthy that in the townships,
I can't believe that people don't want to vote. I don't know. I said there were certain countries. I don't know, it was Peru or somebody, they charge you a fine if you don't vote.
That's right. It's worth considering.
Maybe that's just it. I think maybe they should fine everybody $5 and then give that to the charity, or some charity at the end of the election.
But not the
somebody wins.
But not the candidate's campaign war chest. So I guess the takeaway from this, Hank, is to continue to ask on a regular basis, particularly as we come up to this general election in November, is let's encourage people to get out and vote, because otherwise only the best fans and zealots of particular candidates.
Well, they got some issues. Some of them have some issues that might be, with the time, something about boys and girls in the same shower and all that there. That becomes an issue.
That's one of many.
Now the guy that won for governor, he's the one that signed the bill that the boys and girls in the shower.
That's Scott Wagner. Yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to check with the students. See what that's all about.
There are many elements.
Maybe I'm gonna stand out. I'm gonna stand outside the school and sell bathing suits. So all right now. Now tell us about some of your favorite charities.
So you want to go?
Okay.
Well,
let's go to charities, then we'll go to this. I guess that falls right into.
That falls right into there. I'm proud to be a 4th degree Knight of Columbus, and Knights of Columbus Charities covers a wide variety of things that we do for communities that need services, and it could be anything from Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners to person that's just down on their luck, or they had lost due to a fire or something, and we're going to step in and provide gift cards or furniture donations and so forth. Or sometimes it's toys for Christmas. So Knights of Columbus is first. Another one that ties in
Knights of Columbus.
Knights of Columbus, and another one is one of my favorites because it ties into.
Wait a minute. The Knights of Columbus. Tell me a little bit about that. I just had the president or the top knight on my show here.
Grand Knight from where?
Grand Knight. Okay. I can't think of his name. He was well prepared.
Okay.
Yeah, he had everything there. He had pictures and signs and everything. He was well prepared.
That's terrific. Well,
he's from around Lansdale area.
The Knights of Columbus is a fraternity of Catholic gentlemen.
Right.
And was founded by Father McGivney back in the 1800s. And the Knights of Columbus, and we have the ladies of the Knights as well. And it's a fraternity of Catholic gentlemen that builds together to form unity, brotherhood, and serve in charitable ways. And it's no secret society. Any Catholic of good standing in the Catholic Church any gentleman is welcome to join. And that's what we do. We raise funds and then we give it away to people that need the money.
They do a lot. I understand they're going to change their style of hat. They're going to be like a beret.
I'm not aware of that.
That's what they told me. They're getting rid of that.
We're going to get rid of the plumes.
Yeah, I don't know what that. So now we got a question from the audience up there, and he says here, you read it out loud. Read it out loud.
Okay, the gentlewoman wants to know what do you say to people who think their vote doesn't count? That's a really interesting question. Every vote counts.
Every vote counts, right.
Every vote counts. And the only time your vote doesn't count is if you didn't cast it.
Yeah. Well, you can go to the courthouse and get all the people that are registered Republican delegate. They're all registered. Who can vote?
Exactly.
Right?
And independent.
All right. Now, what they should do is all the people that didn't vote, they should have a list the next day who didn't vote. You know, there's a guy up in Allentown that he has a gas station, and he has a sign out there. These people owe me money, and he gives their name and address, and it embarrasses them a little bit.
There's a little shy of 10,000.
Call that the what should I call it? The billboard of shame.
Well, the issue
you don't vote.
The issue in Norristown is there's 16,000 registered voters.
How many?
16,000.
16, and then how many voted?
And only about 1,650 voted on Tuesday.
Oh my God!
So that's a very long list of did not vote.
Well, I guess some of them are not registered too. You know.
No, the registered voters are about 16,000.
These are all registered.
They're all registered.
Okay.
Yeah, it's arguable whether there's 30,000 or 50,000 residents in Northtown, but only 16,000 are.
Well, we see here. I got another one here with the guy with the brown jacket up there. Why have you become so involved in local politics and school issues and community issues?
Well,
why?
First of all, I'm a 32-year, going on 33-year resident of the community.
All right, East Norton.
East Norton, that's correct. And education is among the most important things that the government, in quotation marks, provides for communities. And it's all locally funded, and to some extent, it's locally managed or administered through a board, a school board.
Yeah.
And I started to notice after my 4th retirement, I've done a lot of things in my life, that the school district was facing some challenges that the community didn't have the tax base to support or correct. And so I started coming to school board meetings, and that was some 200 meetings
You
ago.
go to most of the school board meetings?
I've got a pretty good attendance record of over 200 meetings since 2008.
Well, now, that's East Norton, West Norton, Northtown's combined school district.
That comprises the Northtown.
It used to be divided.
Prior to my time, I think the unification occurred back in about 1968. Yeah. I'm told by the historian.
They had a superintendent in East Norton, they had a superintendent in Northtown.
So I first became involved because I was really intrigued with this issue of the challenges that face the school district relative to its capacity, the capacity of residents to pay increased taxes to meet those challenges. And then as I did that, well, I've always been involved in the municipal government, because as a resident, there's laws and ordinances and so forth that we all have to abide by, and so residents and citizens and so forth should be well informed, and also
informed nation is a peaceful nation.
Say that again, Hank.
An informed nation is a peaceful nation.
I like that. Can I use that?
You can use it any time you want. Yeah.
Do I have to give you a quarter later?
I stole it from somebody.
So that's the how.
Well, I'm going to hit you with a hard one now. This guy, the one lady there with that blue dress. What are the biggest issues facing East Norton or Norristown School District? What are the biggest issues facing East Norton and Norristown?
I'm going to recall a presentation that the Norristown Area School District's Chief Financial Officer, that's Anne Marie Roricht, made to the community back in November. And our number one challenge is financing the cost of education.
Finance, right?
It's financing the cost of education. And the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania needs to completely overhaul the approach to providing public education and how we fund it.
Yeah.
There's already a couple of bills that have been tossed around the House and the Senate. They're called House Bill 76 and Senate Bill 76, and they're subtitled as the Property Tax Elimination Act.
Yeah.
And there's various forms of it and so forth. And this would remove the property taxes from funding for public education by increasing earned income taxes, and it would increase and also broaden the collection of sales taxes.
Yeah.
Arguments aside about whether that's recession-proof or whether they would balance out or so forth, you know, I know from my days in the private sector that that's somebody's job to make that balance work out. You can make anything work if you work hard enough to do it. And this does a couple of things. First of all, it provides an equalization or a level playing field for homeowners.
Right, right.
The second thing it does is it moves the tax burden on to the people that are in the prime of their working and wage earning years,
right,
when they're more likely to have children that are actually in the public education system. And it gives everybody an ownership, if you will, of the process of funding public education. The largest thing that it does is it's going to mitigate the crisis that we have in Pennsylvania today, where senior citizens are suffering, like you and me.
Yeah, I'm 94.
God bless you. A life long and well lived.
Oh man, bobbing and weaving.
But you know, somebody loses their home due to property taxation every day in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I mean,
and there's some quality of life issues too. I mean, if a senior citizen doesn't have enough money after they pay their taxes, then you know they might start breaking prescription meds apart, or stop taking them altogether, or they may have problems with nutrition, or they may have problems with getting affordable care in home. Because I really think and look forward to living well, but in place and with dignity.
But did you think that the school board, when they get together, do they fight for the people or do they fight for the school? I don't know if that's a good question.
That's hard to say.
The reason why I ask that is because how many people in the school board?
9.
9?
9.
Okay. They're 9. Now, there shouldn't be any politics, but to become a school board member, you have to run for office under Republican or Democrat. So you got more, you're all Democrats. They all think the same, they all say the same, nobody raised their voices, you know.
Well,
I'd
have to say my personal observation is there's...
Well, you go to enough meetings. What is it? Anybody stand up and talk?
There are different personalities. And
I don't have personality. I mean on the issues.
There are folks with different views on certain issues.
Yeah.
And that leads to the rest of the question that we had here, and I'd like to get back to it. Is that Anne Marie Rorick, the Chief Financial Officer, made a presentation, and she was more forthcoming than I've ever seen her in presenting the unique challenges that this district has as a result of the concentrated poverty in Norristown and the changing demographics that affect the community. We have the highest percentage of special education students among the 22 school districts in Montgomery County. We have the highest percentage of English language learners or non-English speaking students of all the 22 school districts in Montgomery County. We got
issues that other school districts don't have.
Well, that not to the same extent. We also have the highest number of families that have chosen to remove their child from our fine public schools here in the Norristown area and send them to a charter school, be that a brick and mortar school or a virtual school. And the issue with that is the money follows the student. We pay a bill to the receiving school. So for the 400 and some odd kids that don't come to our buildings every day, we pay about $8.5 million in tuition. So we've raised $8.5 million worth of taxes, and then we've sent that money to other schools. But that 400 out of our 7,400 doesn't impact the cost structure of this district.
Oh.
We don't close the building. We don't even shut the lights off in a classroom, much less do we furlough any employees. It doesn't change the cost. I mean, we're operating a $151 million business of education here, and 71% of the funding for that comes out of local taxpayers. Because the state, and this leads to the other challenge that Anne Marie points out, is the unfunded federal and state mandates. These are things that we have to provide because they say so, but they don't pay for them.
They ought to have a subject for high school students to learn something about that tax stuff, so when they graduate or whatever, they know something about the tax. You know,
I need a part-time job. I'd like to teach that course.
I think they should know. You know, and I don't know if they ever have that driver training in the cars in the schools anymore. They give driver training. They have that anymore? I wonder. I don't think so.
I don't
And
know.
they used to have it, because I like Mascara trucks. They have signs all over. We need truck drivers. Need truck drivers. Why can't we start teaching guys how to drive a truck? You know, you teach a guy how to mix this and that and the other thing. So.
Well, the interesting thing is, you know, driving a truck. I mean, even the sanitation services trucks, whether it's municipal or private services.
You have to. There's a certain license you have to have for a certain type of truck.
It's not only that, but you need some technical skills too, because basically, you know, Mascara picks your trash up, I believe, because the municipality's contracted with them. But if you watch when the truck comes to my curb, the driver has a cockpit full of computers and controls and so forth, and he's got a big robotic arm that reaches out and picks up my trash container. There's nobody on the back now slinging the cans and so forth like that. And so actually, you know, for the students here that are studying robotics, there's a place for them in that industry.
I mean, you get a special license to drive a special type of truck. So I think that schools should have a driver training where a high school guy that's sharp. You know, it's just like the Navy. They like 17, 18, 19-year-old. They have on the aircraft carriers. The young guys, they want it because they're sharp. You know.
There's an idea.
No, like me. No, I used to be sharp. They're no sharp no more. Bop bop. But I think that would be when I just think now. Here's Mascara. He has the places all over the state, all over New Jersey. What happens? You can't get a driver to drive the truck to pick up the garbage. It's going to be a problem, you know.
Makes sense to me.
Well, the guy's out of work, and he has to go get a special license to drive the truck, and that license is pretty strict test, you know.
Sure.
So I'll talk to the superintendent about that. You want to drive a truck? How about you? You want to drive a truck?
Sure.
Yeah. How about an airplane? Okay.
Now you're talking my hobby.
So, all right, now, but I was thinking that you have all your school boards are all Democrats and all think the same, but you know, the same thing in Northtown, they have 7 councilmen, all Democrat. When I was with the Norristown Police Department, they had 12 councilmen, and there were Democrats, and I tell you, they used to fight. And a couple of times we had to go up there. The police station was downstairs, and we had to go up there and separate them. They used to fight over issues, really. Paul Santangelo was in there for 50 years.
I'd hate to see that happen.
Oh my God! You know. All right, so now let's tell a little bit more about.
Sure. We were talking about the charities that I work with, and the other one, aviation has always been a hobby of mine. But moreover, I'm intrigued by unique ways to help people. So I try to be helpful to Angel Flight East, and Angel Flight East is an organization of volunteer pilots who volunteer their aircraft and their flying skills to transport patients from their home to faraway medical facilities for their treatment.
A helicopter?
No, generally it's a fixed wing aircraft is most of the folks. And they do that right over here in Wings and Bluebell. And in fact, as we get closer to the annual Wings and Wheels, then one of their administrators should come on your show. No, it's Wings and Wheels. So
What
it's
is it?
Wings and Wheels. Wings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wings and meals.
Wheels.
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 What the heck's that?
Well, what they do is they bring a bunch of aircraft to sit and display for people to come and see. And then they bring a bunch of guys, geezers with old cars, and we park them in between the airplanes. And people come around and they see an airplane show and a car show at the same time. It's always the Saturday after Labor Day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So I participate in that. But the big one for me is the Blue-White Scholarship.
Tell me more about it.
The big one for me is the Blue-White Scholarship Foundation.
Okay.
And this is an organization that was founded some 40 years ago in one form or another. But our mission for about the past 20 years is that we are alumni and friends of Villanova University who raise money to fill the gap in students' ability to pay their tuition in their junior and senior years at Villanova University. So these are students who have been to the financial aid office and been told, we don't have any more money for you, but here's some people that might be able to help you. And we're right now in the process of reviewing the applications to award scholarships this fall.
Good.
And we're hopeful this year, our executive director...
Well, give a scholarship on how to drive a truck.
There we go. Our executive director and founder passed away a couple of years ago.
We don't have enough truck drivers. We have nobody going to move the cabbage. Garbage.
This is pretty well focused. This is to make sure that kids have academically been successful, and they've worked a lot to contribute to paying their own tuition.
Good.
And they're doing good works in the community and serving others and so forth. And here's the reason you don't want to be on the list to get this scholarship, is there's a need component. And it's frightening, the kind of things, because a lot of kids that go to university, they sit down at the kitchen table with mom, dad, their siblings,
right,
and they agree that if we all work hard, stay lucky, and God blesses us, we can afford to get through this. Because college educations are outlandishly expensive now. And if one of those legs breaks, then you get this gap in the ability to meet tuition. That could be mom or dad got sick, can't work anymore, a sibling got in a car accident, and the medical bills for that, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So this year we're very proud. We're a little short now of our goals, but we're working very hard because it's our intent this year, in the fall, to award $100,000 in scholarships to students that are short of tuition money. And that's where I spend a lot of time. And anybody in the audience that doesn't know that I'm a Villanova graduate just hasn't been paying attention.
You attended over 200 or more meetings. Every time I look at Facebook, you're at this meeting, that thing, And how come you don't run for some political office? Or what you're doing?
I've run for local offices. And I didn't do it for any political reasons, because I don't think that there's any national partisan agenda that has anything to do with local council or supervisors or particularly school board. In fact, school board members, like judges, and only judges and school board members, are allowed to and encouraged to cross-file in their primary elections as both Republican and Democrat. And that's not only to get the most votes, it's also to signify that their approach to the job will not be founded in a partisan way, that they're going to work for the major objective, which is the education and financing of students. Right. And here in Norristown, the tax burden is heavy. We have the 5th highest property tax millage rate for public education in the county. Norristown, in combination with its school taxes, its municipal tax, its county tax, and the new Montgomery County Community College tax, has the highest tax millage rate on home ownership in Montgomery County.
Well, we had to start firing some of them guys down there. Get rid of half of them. Well, I'll tell you one thing. When I was a policeman in Northtown, you had to live in Norristown. So it was only 3 square miles, 60 police officers. We covered this town like the dew. Now, I don't want to knock anybody, but hardly any of them live in Norristown. I mean, it don't make sense. And then half of the people that work there don't live in Norristown. Now, if I would say to become a police officer or work for the borough, live in East Norton, West Norton, North, at least you'll be able to help pay taxes.
Should
This way you don't pay nothing.
Should all the school district employees live here?
Huh?
Should all of the school district employees live here?
Yeah, well, you know, I think, you think if all these people that work for the borough would move back in Norristown, look at all the taxes we have.
It would help that.
I wonder, can I find out how many people live out? I don't want their address. I just want to know if they live in another town. I don't know if that's available.
Sure, just ask Crandall Jones's secretary.
It's the same thing with some police departments out west. A small town where they can't get police officers, they give them a tax break. To come in Norristown, to come into town, be a police officer, you get a tax break. So if we could talk to a police officer, come to Norristown, live in Norristown, shop here, worship here, you know, raise your children here, you know. But now we're a house of strangers. So I'm still there.
Only you can fix it, Hank.
Send me to Harrisburg. Well, I think maybe I have the 2 county commissioners coming on in a couple of weeks.
Which 2?
Val and Ken.
Ken Lawrence.
Yeah,
okay.
I had Joe Gale on too. So they're very active and you know, keeping things going. You know, keeping the ball bouncing. And I think they should be divided. They should be 4 of this and 3 of that. 4 of this and 3 of that. You know, not all one, you know. Let me say this. All sunshine makes deserts. If you want a beautiful garden, you have to have rain, snow, hail, and everything, and you get a beautiful garden. What do we have? All Democrats, you know, and it's got a desert. Nobody raises their voice. I remember when I was, like I say, 12 county, yeah, bro, you know. But not now. Oh, no, yeah, I do. Shut up.
That runs a little deeper, Hank. You know, Madeline Dean just won the Democratic nomination for Congress in the new 4th Congressional District, which will be most of Montgomery County, plus a little bit of a little off of one side and a little Bucks County on the other side. And if she were to win in November, then it would be yet another United States Congress member that came out of Abington Township. And of course, we all know that Abington thinks that they're really the center of the township, or the center of the county, rather, and not Norristown. But some of that develops, too, as you just get the same thinking coming over and over and over again. And to your point, then it gets a little dry and sandy out there.
Ken, you've been in all these meetings. Do you ever get up and say something? Ken, what is one question here? Ken, what have been your biggest success? Something that you turned around, or because of your protests or recommendations, or whatever you want to call it?
Well, I think there's been a couple of things. I think that I have brought more transparency to the process of governing and stewardship of the school district, because when people attend meetings, then they draw the attention of the governing bodies. I think that's, you know, we were talking about voters not showing up at most of the school board meetings, whether it be a board meeting or a budget meeting or so forth, or a township meeting that I attend for a specific cause. A lot of times I'm the only resident that's there, me and the guy from the newspaper. Unless we advertise some special circumstance. For instance, I'll tell you, if you want to draw a crowd to a meeting at the school district, then you talk about what league you're going to play in, who the athletic director is going to be, or when you're going to hire a new football coach. We're in the process of that right now.
And we have the superintendent, Dr. Samuels, is retiring. They're going to get somebody. What do they go?
That's going to be another hot topic.
Yeah, that'll be another one.
That's going to be another hot topic.
They'll check worldwide, right?
But I think
Can I throw my hat in here? You guys got me superintendent?
I believe you could get an interview.
Yeah, maybe John Doyle.
There we go. But I think that inspiring transparency has been uplifting, and I think that there have been some specific things about which you know, I've been able to change perspectives about things like tax abatements, where, you know, the public is funding private projects. You know, somebody wants to build a cell phone tower at the end of my street.
Yeah.
Then I go out and drop notices in my neighbor's doors, and I get them to come to the meeting.
Right.
Somebody wants to build apartment towers in a housing community. Then I will do a drop on 1,800 doors and get 165 people. So I think my role has been to encourage transparency.
Let's drink to that.
And to get people out.
All right. Here's Ken. Thank you so much for coming here. And then I say salute to your health, okay?
It's my pleasure, sir.
And it's been a pleasure, Ken. I learned a lot about the election. A lot of people, this is something we should do. I would say, everybody that don't vote, charge them $5 and then give that money to charity. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for allowing us to come into your home. And Ken has been our...
Thank you, Hank.
He's our hitman, you know. He's right there. So, I like to have people in my show that they're in the grassroots, that come up with ideas. And that's what it's all about. So, until we meet again, keep bobbing and weaving. Left hand high, stick and move, and keep your chunks off the canvas, okay? Ken, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Hank. It's been a pleasure.
Adios, amigos. Right, left, boom.